Hey guys, so today we're just making a really simple make-ahead breakfast casserole recipe. So I'm actually home on lunch break and I'm just going to go ahead and put it all together and let it really sit there and soak all the good stuff up together while I go work the rest of the afternoon, and then that way it'll be completely ready to just pop in the oven when I get home from work, and then I can work out while it's in the oven, and it's a real time saver. So for this we've got eggs. I'm using sourdough bread. You can use whatever kind of bread you have on hand. I like this recipe because it's kind of one of those things where you can throw everything but the kitchen sink in. It's a good fridge clean out recipe. So then for my extras, I've got spinach. We've got a little bit of ground pork sausage from 8 Plates Farm, a couple of shallots, some mushrooms, and then a couple of cups of grated cheese from Ludwig Farmstead Creamery. So here's what it looks like. I've used the Jake's Special Herb Havarti style in it before and it's amazing, but today I went with the Sangamon and the Dutch Garden Herb, a mixture of the two of those. And then we've got milk, half and half, salt, pepper, a little bit of Italian seasoning, and then I'm cheating and using already minced garlic because I'm all about ease and simplicity. Alright, so to start off with, we're going to go ahead and slice up, chop, whatever you want to do with these shallots. So I'm going to go ahead and turn the stove on. I've just got like a medium-sized pan here. I think it's a 9-inch pan. I'm going to go ahead and turn that on like medium and grab a pat of butter. I always go for a fairly generous. You can never have too much butter, too much garlic, or too much bacon. So while we let that melt in there, we're going to go ahead and cut these up. You can do it however you want. I always typically slice them lengthwise and then put them on their side and just slice all the way down. And while I'm like in the chopping mode, I'm going to go ahead and just like roughly chop up these mushrooms. I like mushrooms, but I do not like to get a big old chunk of them. So, just gonna give those a rough chop. So now we're just gonna go ahead and put, I would say, 2 or 3 healthy things of garlic. That's probably good. Just get those covered all in butter. I'm actually going to turn this down just a little bit for putting these shallots in there. I'm going to go ahead and throw the shallots in, and we're just going to go ahead and break them up. And then I'm actually going to put just a little bit of salt and pepper. Just a little bit. Stir that all in. Okay, so when the shallots start to get just a slight little tinge of brown on them, I'm going to go ahead and just pop those mushrooms in there. Stir those all in, make sure they get a nice coating of butter as well. Okay, maybe just one more thing of butter. Stir that all in together. Okay, so I'm just going to let that simmer there for a while on the stove, and we're going to get started with the main part of this casserole. So to start off with, we're going to crack 6 eggs, yes I said 6, into this bowl. You're just going to want to go ahead and stir this around periodically. You kind of just want it to sit there and just all the good flavors soak up together. So after you get your 6 eggs in there, you're just going to take milk. I have 2%. You can use whole milk if you want to. I would not suggest using anything less than 2% because, come on, the fat means flavor. So we're going to put about 1.5 cups roughly of milk. if you've noticed, I don't typically cook with measurements. I just kind of eyeball it, so I'm trying to be more precise for anyone else who wants to make this, or any of my recipes really. And then after that, we're going to take this half and half, and we're gonna do roughly half a cup, maybe spill over just a little bit of that. Okay, so once we get that all in there, we're gonna come back and check on this real quick. Make sure none of it's burning. And then we're gonna go ahead and whisk that all together. I use a fork. I like to use forks better than whisks. It's personal preference. Okay. So we're gonna come back over to the stove with our spinach. So when we get back over here, we're just going to take about three handfuls of spinach and toss it in there. Now, because I'm putting spinach in it, it means it's healthy. So we're just gonna set this aside and then kind of carefully fold this spinach in there. There's a few escapees, that's fine. And let that wilt. So then we're gonna come back over here, and then the first thing that we're gonna do, we're gonna dump this pork sausage in here. I got this from my friend's 8 Plates Farm. It's my favorite sausage. Usually I'm not a big sausage person, but it's really good. I actually made this, browned it last night, so nice and easy. This is roughly half a pound of it. Get all of that in there, and then we're gonna dump most of the cheese. Like I said, this is roughly 2 cups, and we're gonna save about 1/3 of a cup, or half a cup maybe, to put on top later. So come back over here, fold that spinach some more just to keep it all wilting fairly evenly. Okay, and then we're gonna come back and I'm not a clean cook by any means, but the messier the better. That would be great if I wasn't the one that also had to clean. So we're gonna go ahead and mix all of that meat and cheese right in there. And then if you can see, that's roughly what it looks like. So a nice pale buttery yellow with just some chunks of sausage and cheese floating around there. All right, now once it kind of looks like this, it's not super wilty, it's still got that really nice green color. We're gonna turn the stove off, and we're gonna go ahead and dump this whole thing right into this egg mixture. So we're gonna go ahead and mix all of that together really well. Now, I know it still looks fairly runny, but here's where the best part of this comes in. Bread. There's not a whole lot I love more in this life than carbohydrates and a good bread. So we are going to take this sourdough bread, roughly the size of my face, I don't know, and like the width of my forearm. I'm really not sure how much bread this is. I just kind of eyeball it like everything else. So we're going to tear chunks of this in there, and I'm going to put roughly 3/4 of this in there. And I'm ripping these in roughly 1/2-inch pieces. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and just, same as everything else, mix that bread right in there. And it should look roughly like this. I may need to add just a few more chunks of bread in there. You can kind of gauge how runny it is. Not a lot, just a little bit. We really want that bread to soak up all of that eggy mixture. Okay, mix those in there. I would rather put a little too much bread in, because right before you put it in the oven, like if it's looking too dry, you can just throw in a splash of half and half or milk and moisten it back up again before you bake it. Okay, so this is roughly what it should look like. And then I'm just going to pop this in the fridge until I get off of work, and in those few hours it's going to soak all of that goodness up. You can just bake this immediately, but it is better if you wait a little bit. And then I'm just going to leave this mess until I get back from work. Okay, so I just got home from the shop. Actually, that's a lie. I didn't, obviously. The first thing I did when I got home was I turned the oven to 350 and let that preheat. And then I went and got ready to go for a run. It is so nice outside. I'm so excited to finally go outside and work out. Made myself some pre-workout. And I pulled this out of the fridge. So let's see how we're looking. Okay, not too bad. Alright, so there's still some liquid in the bottom. I'm going to go ahead and throw in a splash of half and half, just to be on the safe side. You can never have too much dairy, and it'll just be a little extra creamy. Like I said before, all my recipes are pretty much guesswork and eyeballing it. Just a little bit. Set that aside. And then I also realized while I was hooking up the new welding hose today, like hose thingy, whatever you want to call them, that I forgot to actually put any seasoning in the total mixture besides the spinach and shallots and whatever mixture. So I'm just gonna go ahead and put a little bit of salt in there. I love salt. I'm only gonna put a little bit of black pepper just because I'm not really a pepper person. I have friends, my dad actually is a huge pepper person. And then I'm just going to put a splash of Italian seasoning with that Dutch garden herb cheese. Yeah, that's what it's called. Yes, with the Ludwig Farms cheese, that or the Jake's special herb. They've got the stuff in it, so you don't need quite as much extra, if that makes sense. I'm going to give that one final mix. Oh yeah, now it's looking good. Okay, and we're gonna set that aside for just a second, and we're going to take our baking dish. I'm not really sure what size this is because it's from IKEA and it doesn't say, and the only thing that came with it was not in English, so we're just gonna compare everything today in the size of my head. I kind of have a bigger head too, so take that into account. And then the stick of butter, that is literally its only purpose is to grease the bottom of dishes. So we're gonna be as liberal as Bernie Sanders is in putting this butter in this dish. The more butter, the better. It's just a good life motto to live by. Okay, and when you're sure that that thing is greased up real nice, all you do is literally just dump this in. And then I'm just gonna kind of even it out a little bit. Now that I have it in the dish, it probably didn't need that extra splash of half and half, but oh well. It'll still be really good. And then I actually do like to have a few of the bread chunks poking up because they're gonna get really nice and crispy. All you gotta do, pop it in the oven for 45 minutes, and then we're gonna come back and put that extra cheese on it. Okay, so just got back from the run. I was planning on 4 miles, only made it 2.5 because someone, and by someone I mean both me and my dog, decided to stop and play with the neighbor's dogs. But I have my extra half cup of cheese here roughly. I accidentally ate I ate like half of it while I was standing here waiting on this to be done, but it should be about there. Yeah. So, there it is. We're just going to go ahead and pull this out. Excuse my dirty oven, it needs cleaned. It's old. And we're just going to sprinkle the cheese across the top of it as evenly as we can get it without getting it all over the oven. smells so good. Okay, and we're just going to put that back in there for 5 to 10 minutes until that cheese is melty, and then, I don't know, I kind of like to put it on broil just for the last like 5-7 minutes of it, just to get it nice and crispy on top. I like my cheese like a little bit burnt, so it's up to you, it's personal preference, but that's how I like it. Alright, so I've turned it on broil. It's been in there for 5 minutes, and then I'm just gonna check it every couple minutes just to make sure it's not like burning. So I've got my Michigan cider here as a nice reward after that run. First outdoor run since last fall. I don't do running in cold weather. I'm a baby like that. And then this awesome book that I've been reading about Fred Meyer, the guy who, like, you know, started the chain of Meyer grocery stores. I've always loved Meyer, and grocery shopping is one of my favorite things to do. And honestly, I had no idea so much about the history of just grocery stores in America in general, and what a freaking awesome man this guy was, so I very highly recommend it. Okay, it is finally done. Just look at this. Can you hear that sizzle? Oh my goodness. It smells so good. I'm so excited for this. Let me know if you make it. Like I said, I used 8 Plates Farm sausage and Ludwig Farmstead Creamery cheese, and I honest to goodness think that those like high quality ingredients definitely, they make the difference, especially that cheese. My goodness, I wish that you guys could taste that Jake's Special Herb or the Dutch Gardener, really any of them. I love them all. I just love cheese. Alright, well, I'm going to dig into this. Thanks guys, and I hope you enjoy it.